I was 23 when I married Ryan Whitaker, a man with charm so smooth it could make velvet feel like sandpaper. I was naive, fresh out of grad school with a degree in architecture, and carrying dreams big enough to fill the skyline. Ryan was older, 33, successful, already managing a luxury construction firm. He told me he saw potential in me. Looking back, I wonder if he meant as a wife, or as a stepping stone. For the first year, everything felt magical. Dinners under candlelight, kisses before work, spontaneous weekend trips. But soon after our first anniversary, the cracks began to show, subtle at first. He started questioning my designs, telling clients I was still learning, never letting me pitch. I dismissed it as protection. Love makes you blind, they say, but I was deaf too, deaf to the alarms ringing in my heart. Then came Chelsea, a new intern, young, bubbly, all legs and confidence. Ryan assured me she was just a kid trying to learn. But I saw the way he looked at her. The way he used to look at me. The worst part wasn't the affair, it was the betrayal that came with it. One day, I came home early and found them in the house I helped design. He didn't even look ashamed. He just zipped up his trousers and said coldly, "You made this easy." Turns out, Ryan had been moving assets out of my name for months. Every design I'd worked on for the firm was filed under his company. My credit cards were maxed, and the house in his name. He threw me out the same week and filed for divorce, accusing me of emotional instability. He even convinced my parents I was losing it. I had nothing, no job, no home, no family who believed in me. Only a spark of rage and the ghost of the woman I once was. That was all I needed. I left Ryan's house with a suitcase, $180 in my wallet, and a heart that was no longer breaking, it was rebuilding. I rented a dusty room in a run-down part of the city, got a job waitressing at a diner, and at night, I worked on my old laptop, sketching, designing, and refreshing my architectural portfolio. The fire inside me burned hotter with every degrading shift and every sleepless night. I wasn't just surviving, I was plotting. Months passed. I applied to hundreds of firms. Rejections piled up, some not even bothering to respond. The architecture world was tight-knit, and Ryan made sure his influence kept me locked out. But he had underestimated my grit. One evening, an older woman walked into the diner. Alone, elegant, with a sharp glint in her eye. I served her coffee, noticed her glancing at my notepad filled with sketches, and we got talking. Her name was Eleanor Braddock. A retired architect, once a legend in the field, now running a small but selective mentoring program for young women. When I told her my story, briefly, honestly, she nodded and said, "Men like him win because women like you think they've already lost." Under her mentorship, I rose again. 2 years later, I had my own boutique firm, Line and Legacy, specializing in high-end eco-resorts. Eleanor helped me get my first contract, the rest I earned. Blood, sweat, and raw talent. Then came the day I had been waiting for. A massive resort development was opening up on the coast. Bidding firms would compete for a $100 million project. Ryan's company, Whitaker Properties, was considered a shoe-in. But what Ryan didn't know was that the investor in charge of selecting the architect was someone I had met, and helped, through Eleanor. A quiet billionaire named Julian Marr, who never forgot kindness. My firm was anonymously invited to bid. We presented a breathtaking concept, sustainable luxury woven into the natural cliffs, minimalist yet majestic. It blew everyone away, including Ryan. He looked stunned when he saw the design. Even more when he found out the winning bid came from Line and Legacy. He looked up at me from across the conference table and stammered, "You." I smiled. "You made me, remember. This is your legacy too." The room fell into a stunned silence. Ryan's eyes twitched. He stood up, tried to regain control of the situation, but his voice trembled. "This is ridiculous. She's not qualified. She doesn't have the resources, the experience." Julian Marr cut him off calmly. "Her work speaks for itself. Her firm is the future. Your proposal was impressive, Ryan, but it lacked vision. We're choosing progress." Ryan stormed out of the room like a defeated child. It should have felt sweet, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. I spent the next year pouring everything into that coastal resort. Not just to make a statement, but to build something immortal. The media attention was massive. Magazine covers, interviews, features on global platforms. People started calling me the woman who reshaped the skyline. Ryan's company. It faltered. Investors began pulling out. Rumors spread about internal corruption, poor ethics, misused funds. You see, before I walked out on that rainy night 3 years ago, I had made copies of financial records. The ones Ryan used to manipulate the firm's clients and steal from his own employees. I waited until the day of our resort's ribbon-cutting ceremony. Dozens of high-profile guests attended. Ryan came too, standing in the back, wearing a forced smile. I took the stage and spoke about resilience. About being underestimated. About betrayal. Then, I dropped the final bomb. Before we cut the ribbon, I said, I'd like to thank one man who taught me more than any mentor ever could. He taught me how not to treat people. How betrayal can forge a steel stronger than love. Thank you, Ryan Whitaker. There was a gasp. Ryan's face turned pale, and as the cameras clicked, I turned to him and added, you always said the city was too small for both of us. You were right. That night, I emailed those documents to every major news outlet. By morning, Ryan's company was being investigated. His license was suspended. His name, destroyed. The aftermath was swift and brutal. The media storm was just the beginning. As Ryan's legal battles escalated, the pressure crushed him. His company crumbled under the weight of public scrutiny. His investors, once loyal, turned their backs on him. The whispers of fraud, manipulation, and misdeeds were louder than ever. The same empire he'd once lorded over now collapsed like a house of cards. I watched it all unfold from my office, the view of the city's skyline now a testament to my resilience. But the victory felt hollow. For all the destruction, it still didn't erase the pain he had caused me. It was only the first step. Ryan's downfall didn't stop with his company. The whispers of his misdeeds followed him into his personal life. His marriage, which had once seemed perfect, fell apart as his wife discovered his countless betrayals. They divorced in a public spectacle that only deepened his humiliation. But I wasn't done yet. A few months later, during one of Ryan's rare public appearances, I made my move. He was speaking at an industry gala, trying to salvage his reputation, but it was clear the world had turned its back on him. As he stepped off stage, I approached him, calm, composed, but with an icy resolve. You lost everything, didn't you? I said, my voice a soft whisper, yet heavy with years of bitterness. Your company, your friends, your family, all gone. Ryan's eyes narrowed, his face twisted in anger, but he knew there was nothing he could say. He had no power left. His wealth was fading fast, and he was nothing but a shadow of the man who had once made me feel so small. You should have treated me better, I continued, my words cutting deep. But you underestimated me, Ryan. I never needed your approval. I only needed your betrayal to fuel my rise. With that, I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. The satisfaction of knowing that I had won, not just in business, but in life, was enough. I was no longer the woman I had been before he destroyed me. I was stronger, wiser, and more capable than I'd ever thought possible. A year passed. My resort flourished, expanding into new ventures, luxury apartments, high-end retail spaces, and more. I had everything I had ever dreamed of, and more. I had built my empire, and it was thriving. But for me, the true victory wasn't just the wealth or the success, it was the peace I had finally found. The closure. Ryan had been my catalyst, the man who showed me the power of betrayal. And now, he was nothing but a memory, a fading echo of a chapter I had long closed. I had taken back control of my life, and no one would ever take that away from me. As I stood on the balcony of my penthouse, overlooking the sprawling city below, I felt a sense of finality. It was done. I had fought my battle, and I had won. The wind blew through my hair as I stared at the horizon. This is just the beginning, I whispered to myself. And for the first time in years, I smiled, knowing that nothing and no one could ever break me again.